What up? Yes, stream time. I just finished such a busy workday. I am so excited to spend a bunch of time with y'all and this book today. Ooh, I can't wait. And I'm thinking, as per usual, babe, we're just going to get right into it, huh? We're just going to get right into it today. We're in book 6, chapter 5, The Steward and the King. Yo, what up? Yes. Ooh, I'm hyped. Ooh, I'm so happy to be here. Look how sunny it is. I'm coming back to life. It's Aries season. We're doing it. Yes. All right. Book 6, chapter 5, The Steward and the King. I did get several hairs cut. I hope you like it. Over the city of Gondor, doubt and great dread had hung. Fair weather and clear sun had seemed but a mockery to men whose days held little hope, and who looked each morning for news of doom. Their lord was dead and burned. Dead lay the king of Rohan in their citadel, and the new king that had come to them in the night was gone again to a war with powers too dark and terrible for any might or valor to conquer. And no news came. After the host left Morgul Vale and took the northward road beneath the shadow of the mountains, no messenger had returned, nor any rumor of what was passing in the brooding east. When the captains were but 2 days gone, the Lady Eowyn bade the women who tended her to bring her raiment, and she would not be gainsayed, but rose. And when they had clothed her and set her arm in a sling of linen, she went to the warden of the houses of healing. "Sir," she said, "I am in great unrest, and I cannot lie longer in sloth." "Lady," he answered, "you are not yet healed, and I was commanded to tend you with especial care. You should not have risen from your bed for 7 days yet, or so I was bidden. I beg you to go back." "I am healed," she said, "healed at least in body, save my left arm only, and that is at ease. But I shall sicken anew if there is naught that I can do. Are there no tidings of war? The women can tell me nothing." "It's not their fucking fault, babe." "There are no tidings," said the warden, "save that the lords have ridden to Morgul Vale, and men say that the new captain out of the north is their chief. A great lord is that, and a healer, and it is a thing passing strange to me that the healing hand should also wield the sword. It is not thus in Gondor now, though once it was so, if old tales be true. But for long years we healers have only sought to patch the rents made by the men of swords. Though we should still have enough to do without them, the world is full enough of hurts and mischances without wars to multiply them." Are we listening? Oh my god. What, this book that came out in the 50s is still relevant? Who knew? "It needs but one foe to breed a war, not two, Master Warden," answered Eowyn. "And those who would not have swords can still die upon them. Would you have the folk of Gondor gather you herbs only, while the Dark Lord gathers armies? And it is not always good to be healed in body, nor is it always evil to die in battle, even in bitter pain. Were I permitted, in this dark hour, I would choose the latter. Of course you would, Eowyn, because you're metal as hell, babe." The warden looked at her. Tall she stood there, her eyes bright in her white face, her hand clenched as she turned and gazed out of his window that opened to the east. I'm picturing that meme of Arthur with his little hand clenched. He sighed and shook his head. After a pause, she turned to him again. "Is there no deed to do?" she said. "Who commands in this city?" "I do not rightly know," he answered. "Such things are not my care. There is a marshal over the riders of Rohan, and the Lord Hurin, I am told, commands the men of Gondor. But the Lord Faramir is by right the steward of the city." "The steward?" "The steward of the city." "Where can I find him?" In this house, lady. He was sorely hurt, but is now set again on the way to health. But I do not know. Will you not bring to him? Then you will know." I love that Eowyn is like, she slayed the Witch King, right? No living man am I. And she's like, but what else can I do? Like, she's a woman after my own heart. I've never done anything so great as slaying the Lord of the Nazgul, but like, I do love a woman who can't sit still. What are we saying in chat? "You've heard of many meetings. Can I interest you in many partings?" Yes. Yeah, Eowyn gives Protestant work ethic big time. Like, What is it? The honor of toil? She's like, yeah, let me get back out there. Let me work. Watch me cook. Steward. The steward of the city. Steward. The Lord Faramir was walking alone in the garden of the Houses of Healing, and the sunlight warmed him, and he felt life run new in his veins. But his heart was heavy, and he looked out over the walls eastward. And coming, the warden spoke his name, and he turned and saw the Lady Eowyn of Rohan, and he was moved with pity, for he saw that she was hurt, and his clear sight perceived her sorrow and unrest. "My lord," said the warden, "here is the Lady Eowyn of Rohan. She rode with the king and was sorely hurt, and dwells now in my keeping. But she is not content, and she wishes to speak to the steward of the city." Steward! "Do not misunderstand him, lord," said Eowyn. "It is not lack of care that grieves me. No houses could be fairer for those who desire to be healed. But I cannot lie in sloth, idle, caged. I looked for death in battle, but I have not died, and battle still goes on." Fucking metal as hell, dude. I love her. At a sign from Faramir, the warden bowed and departed. "What would you have me do, lady?" said Faramir. "I also am a prisoner of the healers." He looked at her, and being a man whom pity deeply stirred, it seemed to him that her loveliness amid her grief would pierce his heart. And she looked at him and saw the grave tenderness in his eyes, and yet knew, for she was bred among men of war, that here was one whom no rider of the mark would outmatch in battle. My brain was like, outmarch, say outmarch, it's outmatch. Here was one whom no rider of the mark would outmatch in battle. "What do you wish?" he said again. "If it lies in my power, I will do it." "I would have you command this warden and bid him let me go," she said. But though her words were still proud, her heart faltered, and for the first time she doubted herself. She guessed that this tall man, both stern and gentle, might think her merely wayward, like a child that has not the firmness of mind to go on with a dull task to the end. "I myself am in the warden's keeping," answered Faramir, "nor have I yet taken up my authority in the city. But had I done so, I should still listen to his counsel, and should not cross his will in matters of his craft, unless in some great need." "But I do not desire healing," she said. "I wish to ride to war like my brother Eomer, or better like Theoden the king, for he died, and has both honor and peace." "It is too late, lady, to follow the captains, even if you had the strength," said Faramir. "But death in battle may come to us all yet, willing or unwilling. You will be better prepared to face it in your own manner, if, while there is still time, you do as the healer commanded. You and I, we must endure with patience the hours of waiting." She did not answer, but as he looked at her, it seemed to him that something in her softened, as though a bitter frost were yielding at the first faint presage of spring. A tear sprang in her eye and fell down her cheek like a glistening raindrop. Her proud head drooped a little. Then, quietly, more as if speaking to herself than to him, "But the healers would have me lie abed 7 days yet," she said, "and my window does not look eastward." Her voice was now that of a maiden, young and sad. Faramir smiled, though his heart was filled with pity. "Your window does not look eastward?" he said. "That can be amended. In this I will command the warden. If you will stay in this house in our care, lady, and take your rest, then you shall walk in this garden in the sun as you will, and you shall look east, whither all our hopes have gone. And here you will find me, walking and waiting, and also looking east. It would ease my care if you would speak to me, or walk at whiles with me." He's such a flirt. Oh my god. He's got fucking game, dude. He's got riz like you wouldn't believe. Then she raised her head and looked him in the eyes again, and a color came in her pale face. "How should I ease your care, my lord?" she said. "And I do not desire the speech of living men." Get his ass. "Would you have my plain answer?" he said. "I would." "Then, Eowyn of Rohan, I say to you that you are beautiful. In the valleys of our hills there are flowers fair and bright, and maidens fairer still, but neither flower nor lady have I seen till now in Gondor so lovely and so sorrowful. It may be that only a few days are left ere darkness falls upon our world, and when it comes I hope to face it steadily, but it would ease my heart if, while the sun yet shines, I could see you still. for you and I have both passed under the wings of the shadow, and the same hand drew us back. Alas, not me, Lord, she said. Shadow lies on me still. Look not to me for healing. I am a shield maiden, and my hand is ungentle. But I thank you for this at least, that I need not keep to my chamber. I will walk abroad by the grace of the steward of the city. Steward! And she did him a courtesy, and walked back to the house. But Faramir for a long while walked alone in the garden, and his glance now strayed rather to the house than to the eastward walls. I love it. Obviously, in the movie, like, there's like one extended scene in Return of the King where we see them kind of like pining and holding hands and whatever, and then they're hanging out at the coronation in the theatrical release. But I do really enjoy this kind of like, we are both caged animals in the houses of healing. Like, we're both injured, and Aragorn has healed us, but we got to stick around here. It's too late for us to ride to battle where we would both rather be. Why not comfort one another? Like, it's giving a little bit of fanfic, and I really, really like that it's canon, actually. Yeah, Eowyn needs some Audre Lorde. Couldn't agree more. Like, you don't even live in capitalism, take a rest day. She can't. It's impossible for her. It's like almost infuriating how little she values rest. But like, I do get where she's coming from. Her biggest fear is a cage, and here she is, caged. When he returned to his chamber, he called for the warden, and heard all that he could tell of the Lady of Rohan. But I doubt not, Lord, said the warden, that you would learn more from the halfling that is with us, for he was in the writing of the king, and with the lady at the end, they say. This is one of my favorite parts of the whole deal. And so Merry was sent to Faramir, and while that day lasted, they talked long together, and Faramir learned much, more even than Merry put into words, and he thought that he understood now something of the grief and unrest of Eowyn of Rohan. And in the fair evening, Faramir and Merry walked in the garden. But she did not come. Fucking wingman of the century, dude. Wingman of the millennium. Oh, Mary's like, yeah, let me tell you everything, dog. Bro code. I do enjoy it. I like it very much. But in the morning, as Faramir came from the houses, he saw her, and as she stood upon the walls, and she was clad all in white, and she gleamed in the sun. And he called to her, and she came down, and they walked on the grass or sat under a green tree together, now in silence, now in speech, and each day after they did likewise. And the warden, looking from his window, was glad in heart, for he was a healer, and his care was lightened, and certain it was that, heavy as was the dread and foreboding of those days upon the hearts of men, still these two of his charges prospered, and grew daily in strength. And so the 5th day came since the Lady Eowyn went first to Faramir, and they stood now together once more upon the walls of the city, and looked out. No tidings had yet come, and all hearts were darkened. The weather, too, was bright no longer. It was cold. A wind that had sprung up in the night was blowing now keenly from the north, and it was rising, but the lands about looked gray and drear. Excuse me. Chat in the commentary, David Wenham is like, what is Faramir doing hitting up girls in the hospital? It does give like a little bit of Munchausen by proxy in the movie. It's so funny. And the same hand pulled us back bisexual thruple ass line. Yes, Mark's aldehyde. Yes. Couldn't have said it better myself. So good. Like, we're both united by love for Aragorn, so oh man, so good. They were clad in, oh, hang on, did I skip a page? No, all is gray and drear. They were clad in warm raiment and heavy cloaks, and over all the Lady Eowyn wore a great blue mantle of the color of deep summer night, and it was set with silver stars about hem and throat. Faramir had sent for this robe and had wrapped it about her, and he thought that she looked fair and queenly indeed as she stood there at his side. The mantle was wrought for his mother, Finduilas of Amroth, who died untimely, and was to him but a memory of loveliness in far days and of his first grief, and her robe seemed to him raiment fitting for the beauty and sadness of Eowyn. Chat, yes. Theoden was old, wanting to redeem himself in battle and expecting to die. Eowyn is much too young for that, even putting aside the issue of Rohan's glorification of war. 100%. I do understand that she feels left out because her brother's gone to battle. And she's like, well, why not me too? And it's like, girl, you are grievously injured, babe. So, yeah, she doesn't stop. I don't think she has an off switch. But Faramir gives her the robe that was his mother's. It's really sweet. But she now shivered beneath the starry mantle, and she looked northward, above the grey hither lands, into the eye of the cold wind where far away the sky was hard and clear. What do you look for, Eowyn? Said Faramir. Does not the black gate lie yonder? Said she. And must he not now be come thither? It is 7 days since he rode away. 7 days, said Faramir, but think not ill of me if I say to you, they have brought me both a joy and a pain that I never thought to know. Joy to see you, but pain, because now the fear and doubt of this evil time are grown dark indeed. Eowyn, I would not have this world end. Eowyn, I would not have this world end now, or lose so soon what I have found. Lose what you have found, Lord, she answered, but she looked at him gravely, and her eyes were kind. I know not what in these days you have found that you could lose, but come, my friend. Don't you dare fucking friend zone my boy. Come on. Let us not speak of it. Let us not speak at all. I stand upon some dreadful brink, and it is utterly dark in the abyss before my feet. But whether there is any light behind me, I cannot tell, for I cannot turn yet. I wait for some stroke of doom. Bars. Yes, we wait for the stroke of doom, said Faramir, and they said no more. And it seemed to them as they stood upon the wall that the wind died, and the light failed, and the sun was bleared, and all sounds in the city or in the lands about were hushed. Neither wind, nor voice, nor bird call, nor rustle of leaf, nor their own breath could be heard. The very beating of their hearts was stilled. Time halted. And as they stood so, their hands met and clasped, though they did not know it, and still they waited for they knew not what. Then presently it seemed to them that above the ridges of the distant mountains another vast mountain of darkness rose, towering up like a wave that should engulf the world, and about it lightnings flickered. And then a tremor ran through the earth, and they felt the walls of the city quiver. A sound like a sigh went up from all the lands about them, and their hearts beat suddenly again. It reminds me of Numenor, said Faramir, and wondered to hear himself speak. Of Numenor? Said Eowyn. Yes, said Faramir, of the land of Westerness that foundered, and of the great dark wave climbing over the green lands and above the hills, and coming on, darkness unescapable. I often dream of it. Then you think that the darkness is coming, said Eowyn, darkness unescapable? And suddenly she drew close to him. No, said Faramir, looking into her face. It was but a picture in the mind. I do not know what is happening. The reason of my waking mind tells me that great evil has befallen, and we stand at the end of days. But my heart says nay, and all my limbs are light, and a hope and joy are come to me that no reason can deny. Eowyn, Eowyn, White Lady of Rohan, in this hour I do not believe that any darkness will endure. And he stooped and kissed her brow. And so they stood on the walls of the city of Gondor, and a great wind rose and blew, and their hair, raven and golden, streamed out mingling in the air. So does Faramir have, like, inches, then? If their hair is streaming in the wind and, like, entangling? He's got at least 22 inches of human hair. Like, he's got a unit. And the shadow departed, and the sun was unveiled, and light leaped forth, and the waters of Anduin shone like silver, and in all the houses of the city men sang for the joy that welled up in their hearts from what source they could not tell. And before the sun had fallen far from the noon, out of the east there came a great eagle flying, and he bore tidings beyond hope from the lords of the west, crying, Sing now, ye people of the Tower of Anor, for the realm of Sauron is ended forever, and the dark tower is thrown down. Sing and rejoice, ye people of the Tower of Guard, for your watch hath not been in vain, and the black gate is broken, and your king hath passed through, and he is victorious. Sing and be glad, all ye children of the west, for your king shall come again, and he shall dwell among you all the days of your life. And the tree that was withered shall be renewed, and he shall plant it in the high places, and and the city shall be blessed. Blessed? Blessed? The city shall be blessed. Sing, all ye people, Mark said, is a very verbose eagle. Speaking in such a high mode as well, like, dog, jeez Louise. And the people sang in all the ways of the city. All right, chat, let's see. Federmir's like, have you considered living? May I present to you living? What a concept. Federmir's heart believes in Frodo, even if his task seems impossible if you think about it rationally. I mean, yeah, thinking about anything that's happened rationally is like, nope. But yeah, I do appreciate that Faramir doesn't think that the darkness unescapable is going to prevail. And indeed it doesn't. He is correct about this. I do think Faramir has more of the gifts that his father Denethor had than Boromir did, right? Like, I'm pretty sure because Faramir dreams of Numenor and the Great Wave, he kind of demonstrates, it's not really the gift of foresight, but like long-sightedness, like he's very wise. I don't know. I feel he's got more of that going on than Boromir ever did. Sorry, Boromir. The days that followed were golden, and spring and summer joined and made revel together in the fields of Gondor. Fucking so great. Spring and summer joined and made revel together. Catch me saying that in June, dude, in May and June. Come on. We're making revel together, spring and summer. And tidings now came by swift riders from Carandros of all that was done, and the city made ready for the coming of the king. Merry was summoned, and rode away with the wains that took store of goods to Osgiliath, and thence by ship to Carandros. They've turned the wains against us. But Faramir did not go, for now being healed, he took upon him his authority and the stewardship, although it was only for a little while. And his duty was to prepare for one who should replace him. Anytime Tolkien says for a little while, I take an arrow to the heart. I'm having a hard time. And Éowyn did not go, though her brother sent word begging her to come to the field of Cormallen. And Faramir wondered at this, but he saw her seldom, being busy with many matters, and she dwelt still in the houses of healing, and walked alone in the garden, and her face grew pale again, and it seemed that in all the city she only was ailing and sorrowful. And the warden of the houses was troubled, and he spoke to Faramir. Then Faramir came and sought her, and once more they stood on the walls together, and he said to her, Éowyn, why do you tarry here and do not go to the rejoicing in Cormallen beyond Carandros, where your brother awaits you? And she said, Do you not know? KG. But he answered, 2 reasons there may be, but which is true I do not know. And she said, I do not wish to play at riddles. Speak plainer. Then if you will have it so, lady, he said, you do not go because only your brother called for you, and to look on the Lord Aragorn, Elendil's heir, in his triumph would now bring you no joy, or because I do not go, and you desire still to be near me. And maybe for both these reasons, and you yourself cannot choose between them. Éowyn, do you not love me, or will you not? I wished to be loved by another, she answered, but I desire no man's pity. That I know, he said. You desired to have the love of the Lord Aragorn, because he was high and puissant? Puissant? Puissant. Does anyone know how to pronounce puissant? I don't know. Puissant? Because he was high and puissant, and you wish to have renown and glory, and to be lifted far above the mean things that crawl on the earth. And as a great captain may to a young soldier, he seemed to you admirable. For so he is, a lord among men, the greatest that now is. But when he gave you only understanding and pity, then you desired to have nothing, unless a brave death in battle. Look at me, Éowyn. And Éowyn looked at Faramir long and steadily, and Faramir said, Do not scorn pity that is the gift of a gentle heart, Éowyn, but I do not offer you my pity. for you are a lady, high and valiant, and have yourself won renown that shall not be forgotten. And you are a lady beautiful, I deem, beyond even the words of the elven tongue to tell. And I love you. Once I pitied your sorrow, but now, were you sorrowless, without fear or any lack, were you the blissful queen of Gondor, still I would love you. Eowyn, do you not love me? And then the heart of Eowyn changed, or else at last she understood it, and suddenly her winter passed, and the sun shone on her. I stand in Minas Arnor, the tower of the sun, she said, and behold, the shadow has departed. I will be a shield maiden no longer, nor vie with the great riders, nor take joy only in the songs of slaying. I will be a healer, and love all things that grow and are not barren. And again she looked at Faramir. No longer do I desire to be a queen, she said. Then Faramir laughed merrily. That is well, he said, for I'm not a king. Yet I will wed with the White Lady of Rohan, if it be her will. And if she will, then let us cross the river, and in happier days let us dwell in fair Ithilien, and there make a garden. All things you will grow with joy there, if the White Lady comes. Then must I leave my own people, man of Gondor, she said, and would you have your proud folk say of you, there goes a lord who tamed a wild shield maiden of the north. Was there no woman of the race of Númenor to choose? I would, said Faramir, and he took her in his arms and kissed her under the sunlit sky, and he cared not that they stood high upon the walls in the sight of many. And many indeed saw them, and the light that shone about them as they came down from the walls, and went hand in hand to the houses of healing. And to the warden of the houses, Faramir said, Here is the White Lady of Rohan, and now she is healed. And the warden said, Then I release her from my charge, and bid her farewell, and may she suffer never hurt nor sickness again. I commend her to the care of the steward of the city until her brother returns. But Eowyn said, Yet now that I have leave to depart, I would remain, for this house has become to me of all dwellings the most blessed. And she remained there until King Éomer came. Chat, what are we saying? Yeah, Gandalf does, I think, say that Faramir is more gifted than Boromir was. Also, it was Faramir that had the dream that prompted Boromir going to Rivendell. Yes, thank you, correct. Faramir is Mr. Emotional Intelligence. Big time. I also love just how, like, frank they are with each other. Eowyn's like, yo, I super duper wanted to get with Aragorn, though. And Faramir's like, I know, but how about me? Like, I love you. Do you not love me? Like, please respond. Tolkien could have used a Germanic word instead of puissant, but he chose French for once. And I'm going to continue to insist on pronouncing it puissant because I think it's funny. Poisson. All things were now made ready in the city, and there was great concourse of people, for the tidings had gone out into all parts of Gondor, from Min Rimmon even to Pinath Gelen and the far coasts of the sea. And all that could come to the city made haste to come. And the city was filled again with women and fair children that returned to their homes laden with flowers. And from Dol Amroth came the harpers that harped most skillfully in all the land. I love the harpers that harped. And there were players upon viols and upon flutes and upon horns of silver, and clear-voiced singers from the vales of Lebanon. At last an evening came when from the walls the pavilions could be seen upon the field, and all-night lights were burning as men watched for the dawn. And when the sun rose in the clear morning above the mountains in the east, upon which shadows lay no more, then all the bells rang, and all the banners broke and flowed in the wind, and upon the white tower of the citadel the standard of the stewards, bright argent like snow in the sun, bearing no charge nor device, was raised over Gondor for the last time. Now the captains of the west led their host towards the city, and folk saw them advance in line upon line, flashing and glinting in the sunrise and rippling like silver. And so they came before the gateway and halted a furlong from the walls. As yet no gates had been set up again, but a barrier was laid across the entrance to the city, and there stood men at arms, in silver and black with long swords drawn. Before the barrier stood Faramir the steward, and Hurin, warden of the keys, and other captains of Gondor, and the Lady Eowyn of Rohan, with Elfhelm the marshal, and many knights of the mark, and upon either side of the gate was a great press of fair people in raiment of many colors and garlands of flowers. So now there was a wide space before the walls of Minas Tirith, and it was hemmed in upon all sides by the knights and the soldiers of Gondor and of Rohan, and by the people of the city and of all parts of the land. A hush fell upon all, as out from the host stepped the Dunedain in silver and grey, and before them came walking slow the Lord Aragorn. He was clad in black mail girt with silver, and he wore a long mantle of pure white clasped at the throat with a great jewel of green that shone from afar. But his head was bare, save for a star upon his forehead bound by a slender fillet of silver. With him were Eomer of Rohan and the Prince Imrahil, and Gandalf robed all in white, and 4 small figures that many men marveled to see. "Here comes my yap queen." "Nay, cousin, they are not boys," said Yorith to her kinsman from Imloth Melui, who stood beside her. "Those are Parian, out of the great far country of the halflings, where they are princes of great fame, it is said. I should know, for I had one to tend in the houses. They are small, but they are valiant. Why, cousin, one of them went with only his esquire into the Black Country, and fought with the Dark Lord all by himself, and set fire to his tower, if you can believe it. I can't fucking believe it. At least, that is the tale in the city. That will be the one that walks with our Elfstone. They are dear friends, I hear. Now, he is a marvel, the Lord Elfstone. Not too soft in his speech, mind you, but he has a golden heart, as the saying is, and he has the healing hands. The hands of the king are the hands of a healer, I said, and that was how it was all discovered. And Mithrandir, he said to me, Yorith, men will long remember your words. And but Yorith was not permitted to continue the instruction of her kinswoman from the country, for a single trumpet rang, and a dead silence followed. Then forth from the gate went Faramir with Húrin of the Keys, and no others, save that behind them walked 4 men in the high helms and armor of the citadel, and they bore a great casket of black lebethron, bound with silver. Chat, Faramir and Eowyn making a garden is such a beautiful image, healing and growing rather than fighting, also a parallel to Sam and Rosie gardening in Bag End. Yes, very good. We love a bit of symbolism. We love a bit of gardening. And yeah, Mark, she really can't stop yapping. I'm fucking obsessed with her. Like, people always mourn like the lack of Tom Bombadil and the lack of the Scouring of the Shire in the movies, and I don't disagree, but like I wish we could have fucking had Yorith. Like, talk about an opportunity for comic relief that's baked into the fucking text, babe. Come on. Oof, I love her. She's so me. It's fucking crazy, dude. Faramir met Aragorn in the midst of those there assembled, and he knelt and said, "The last steward of Gondor begs leave to surrender his office." And he held out a white rod, but Aragorn took the rod and gave it back, saying, "That office is not ended, and it shall be thine and thy heirs as long as my line shall last. Do now thy office." Then Faramir stood up and spoke in a clear voice. "Men of Gondor, hear now the steward of this realm. Behold, one has come to claim the kingship here at last. The kingship again at last, pardon me. Here is Aragorn, son of Arathorn, chieftain of the Dunedain of Arnor, captain of the host of the west, bearer of the star of the north, wielder of the sword reforged, victorious in battle, whose hands bring healing, the Elfstone, Elessar of the line of Valandil, Isildur's son, Elendil's son of Númenor. Shall he be a king and enter into the city and dwell there?" And all the host and all the people cried yea with one voice. And Yorith said to her kinswoman, "This is just a ceremony such as we have in the city, cousin, for he has already entered, as I was telling you." And he said to me, and then again she was obliged to silence, for Faramir spoke again. She keeps a fucking running commentary. I love her. Can't shut the fuck up. "Men of Gondor, the lore masters tell that it was the custom of old that the king should receive the crown from his father ere he died, or if that might not be, then he should go alone and take it from the hands of his father in the tomb where he was laid. But since things must now be done otherwise, using the authority of the steward, I have today brought hither from Rath-Dinen the crown of Yarnor, the last king, whose days passed in the time of our long fathers of old." Then the guard stepped forward, and Faramir opened the casket, and he held up an ancient crown. It was shaped like the helms of the guards of the citadel, save that it was loftier, and it was all white, and the wings at either side were wrought of pearl and silver in the likeness of the wings of a sea-bird, for it was the emblem of kings who came over the sea. And 7 gems of adamant were set in the circlet, and upon its summit was set a single jewel with the light of which went up like a flame. Sounds like an ugly fucking hat, to be perfectly honest. Then Aragorn took the crown and held it up, and said, "Oh no, et iarello endorena utulian, sinome maruvan ar Hildinyar tanambar meta." I'm pretty sure those are the words that Viggo Mortensen sings in Return of the King. I'm pretty sure. Makes me want to sing it, but I'm not going to fucking try it again. And those were the words that Elendil spoke when he came up out of the sea on the wings of the wind. Out of the great sea to Middle-earth I am come. In this place will I abide, and my heirs, unto the ending of the world. Then, to the wonder of many, Aragorn did not put the crown upon his head, but gave it back to Faramir, and said, "By the labor and valor of many I have come into my inheritance. In token of this, I would have the ring-bearer bring the crown to me, and let Mithrandir set it upon my head if he will. For he has been the mover of all that has been accomplished, and this is his victory." Humble king. We fucking love a humble king. We love, like, oh, let's do some teamwork here. I also love that, like, Faramir keeps giving him stuff and Aragorn keeps giving it back to him. I don't know. It just makes me laugh. I know this is, like, a very serious and honorable moment, but, like, I just think he's doing a bit. It's so funny. Then Frodo came forward and took the crown from Faramir and bore it to Gandalf. And Aragorn knelt, and Gandalf set the white crown upon his head and said, "Now come the days of the king, and may they be blessed while the thrones of the Valar endure." But when Aragorn arose, all that beheld him gazed in silence, for his hat was very ugly, and it seemed to them that he was revealed to them now for the first time. Tall as the sea kings of old, he stood above all that were near. Ancient of days he seemed, and yet in the flower of manhood, and wisdom sat upon his brow, and strength and healing were in his hands, and a light was about him. And then Faramir cried, "Behold the king!" And in that moment all the trumpets were blown, and the king Elessar went forth and came to the barrier, and Hurin of the Keys thrust it back, and amid the music of harp and of viol and of flute and the singing of clear voices, the king passed through the flower-laden streets, and came to the citadel, and entered in. And the banner of the tree and the stars was unfurled upon the topmost tower, and the reign of King Elessar began, of which many songs have told. So if you want to know more, listen to the songs, I guess. In his time, the city was made more fair than it had ever been, even in the days of its first glory. And it was filled with trees and with fountains, and its gates were wrought of mithril and steel, and its streets were paved with white marble. Sounds slippery, to be honest. And the folk of the mountain labored in it, and the folk of the wood rejoiced to come there, and all was healed and made good, and the houses were filled with men and women, and the laughter of children, and no window was blind, nor any courtyard empty. And after the ending of the third age of the world into the new age, it preserved the memory and the glory of all the years that were gone. Tolkien really loves to write like a 1-paragraph summary of how good everything is now. It's very cute. Okay, chat. Interested how gardening is such a positive image in this whole text, except Entwives. Yes. So pertinent, so correct. Okay, I'm fucking taking a note of that. Thank you. Nay, cousin, they are Parian. It's 3019 of the third age. Get with it. Like, figure it out, dude. Come on. Marks, no, keep that. You can have that. It's like playing hot potato. All right, so we have confirmation that messy ADHD girlies who can't shut the fuck up exist in Arda, like representation. We do feel very seen. What was Yorith up to while Faramir and Eowyn were getting together? She was definitely like spying. There's definitely at least one glory hole in the houses. It is the song. Yes, it's the song. Thank you for confirming that's the song. I can tell when it's the song. Guys, remember, Frodo is still in his shit-stained ratty orc clothes for this. And another magical girl transformation moment for Aragorn. Cue the theme music for Sailor Moon. In the name of the moon, I will come into my inheritance. Yes, thank you. Oh, we're having fun. In the days that followed his crowning, the king sat on his throne in the hall of the kings and pronounced his judgments. And embassies came from many lands and peoples, from the east and the south, and from the borders of Mirkwood, and from Dunland in the west. And the king pardoned the Easterlings that had given themselves up, and sent them away free. And he made peace with the peoples of Harad, and the slaves of Mordor he released, and gave to them all the lands about Lake Nurnen to be their own. And there were brought before him many to receive his praise and reward for their valor. And last, the captain of the guard brought to him Beregond to be judged. And the king said to Beregond, Beregond, by your sword blood was spilled in the Hallows, where that is forbidden. Also you left your post without leave of lord or of captain. For these things of old death was the penalty. Now, therefore, I must pronounce your doom. All penalty is remitted for your valor in battle, and still more because all that you did was for the love of the Lord Faramir. Nonetheless, you must leave the guard of the citadel, and you must go forth from the city of Minas Tirith. Then the blood left Beregond's face, and he was stricken to the heart, and he bowed his head. But the king said, So it must be, for you are appointed to the White Company, the guard of Faramir, Prince of Ithilien, and you shall be its captain, and dwell in Arnon in honor and peace, and in the service of him for whom you risked all to save him from death. You heard it here first. Beregond would risk it all for Faramir. And then Beregond, perceiving the mercy and justice of the king, was glad, and kneeling kissed his hand, and departed in joy and content. And Aragorn gave to Faramir Ithilien to be his princedom, and bade him dwell in the hills of Emin Arnon within sight of the city. Gonna keep an eye on you. For, said he, Minas Ithil in Morgul Vale shall be utterly destroyed, and though it may in time to come be made clean, no man may dwell there for many long years. And last of all, Aragorn greeted Eomer of Rohan, and they embraced, and Aragorn said, Between us there can be no word of giving or taking, nor of reward, for we are brethren. In happy hour did Errol ride from the north, and never has any league of peoples been more blessed, so that neither has ever failed the other, nor shall fail. Now, as you know, we have laid Theoden in the Renowned in a tomb in the Hallows. Oh, Theoden the Renowned, in the tomb of the Hallows, and there he shall lie forever among the kings of Gondor, if you will. Or, if you desire it, we will come to Rohan and bring him back to rest with his own people. And Eomer answered, Since the day when you rose before me out of the green grass of the downs, I have loved you, and that love shall not fare. Bros! Shall not fail. That love shall not fail. Bros! Bros beyond! I fucking love them! Since the day when you rose before me out of the green grass, like Aragorn just popped up out of the grass, But now I must depart for a while to my own realm, where there is much to heal and set in order. But as for the fallen, when all is made ready, we will return for him. But here let him sleep a while. Just gonna leave that dead body there and then come back for it? That's crazy. And Eowyn said to Faramir, Now I must go back to my own land and look on it once again and help my brother in his labor. But when one whom I long loved as father is laid at last to rest, I will return. I'll trade you me for the dead body of my uncle. Very fair trade, thank you. So the glad days passed, and on the 8th day of May the riders of Rohan made ready, and rode off by the north way, and with them went the sons of Elrond. All the road was lined with people to do them honor and praise them, from the gate of the city to the walls of the Pelennor. Then all others that dwelt afar went back to their homes rejoicing, but in the city there was labor of many willing hands to rebuild and renew, and to remove all the scars of war and the memory of the darkness. The hobbits still remained in Minas Tirith with Legolas and Gimli, for Aragorn was loath for the fellowship to be dissolved. At last all such things must end, he said, but I would have you wait a little while longer, for the end of the deeds that you have shared in has not yet come. A day draws near that I have looked for in all the years of my manhood, and when it comes, I would have my friends beside me. But of that day he would say no more. Oh, he wants his little buddies. So cute. In those days, the companions of the ring dwelt together in a fair house with Gandalf, and they went to and fro as they wished. And Frodo said to Gandalf, Do you know what this day is that Aragorn speaks of? For we are happy here, and I don't wish to go. But the days are running away, and Bilbo is waiting, and the Shire is my home." Fucking devastating, dude. Fucking devastating. As for Bilbo, said Gandalf, he is waiting for the same day, and he knows what keeps you. And as for the passing of the days, it is now only May, and high summer is not yet in, and though all things may seem changed, as if an age of the world had gone by, yet to the trees and the grass it is less than a year since you set out, which is fucking bonkers, dude. I've been reading this book for more than a year. Pippin, said Frodo, didn't you say that Gandalf was less close than of old? He was weary of his labors then, I think. Now he is recovering. And Gandalf said, many folk like to know beforehand what is to be set on the table, but those who have labored to prepare the feast like to keep their secret, for wonder makes the words of praise louder. And Aragorn himself waits for a sign. Gandalf using a fucking dinner table metaphor for the hobbits to understand? My fucking boy, dude. There came a day when Gandalf could not be found, and the companions wondered what was going forward. But Gandalf took Aragorn out from the city by night, and he brought him to the southern feet of Mount Mindalluin, and there they found a path made in ages past that few now dared to tread, for it led up onto the mountain to a high hollow where only the kings had been wont to go. And they went up by steep ways until they came to a high field below the snows that clad the lofty peaks, and it looked down over the precipice that stood behind the city. And standing there, they surveyed the lands, for the morning was come, and they saw the towers of the city far below them like white pencils touched by the sunlight, and all the vale of Anduin was like a garden, and the mountains of shadow were veiled in a golden mist. Upon the one side their sight reached to the grey Emyn Muil, and the glent of Rauros was like a star twinkling far off. And upon the other side they saw the river like a ribbon laid down to Pelargir, and beyond that was a light on the hem of the sky that spoke of the sea. And Gandalf said, this is your realm, and the heart of the greater realm that shall be, everything the light touches. The third age of the world is ended, and the new age is begun, and it is your task to order its beginning and to preserve what may be preserved. For though much has been saved, much must now pass away, and the power of the three rings also is ended. And all the lands that you see, and those that lie round about them, shall be dwellings of men, and those that lie round about them shall be dwellings of men. Let me just read the same thing twice, no worries. For the time comes of the dominion of men, and the elder kindred shall fade or depart. I know it well, dear friend, said Aragorn, but I would still have your counsel. Not for long now, said Gandalf. The third age was my age. I was the enemy of Sauron, and my work is finished. I shall go soon. The burden must lie now upon you and your kindred. But I shall die, said Aragorn, for I am a mortal man, and though being what I am and of the race of the West unmingled, I shall have life far longer than other men. Yet that is but a little while. And when those who are now in the wombs of women are born and have grown old, I too shall grow old. And who then shall govern Gondor, and those who look to this city as to their queen, if my desire be not granted? The tree in the court of the fountain is still withered and barren. When shall I see a sign that it will ever be otherwise? Turn your face from the green world, and look where all seems barren and cold, said Gandalf. Then Aragorn turned, and there was a stony slope behind him running down from the skirts of the snow, and as he looked he was aware that alone there in the waste a growing thing stood. And he climbed to it, and saw that out of the very edge of the snow there sprang a sapling tree no more than 3 foot high. Already it had put forth young leaves, long and shapely, dark above and silver beneath, and upon its slender crown it bore one small cluster of flowers whose white petals shone like the sunlit snow. Then Aragorn cried, Yea, etu vienye! I have found it! Lo, here is a scion of the eldest of trees! But how comes it here? For it is not itself yet 7 years old. And Gandalf coming looked at it, and said, Verily, this is a sapling of the line of Nimloth the Fair, and that was a seedling of Galathilian. Oh, girl, Galathilian. There we go. And that was a seedling of Galathilian, and that a fruit of Telperion of many names, eldest of trees. Who shall say how it comes here in the appointed hour? But this is an ancient hallow, and ere the kings failed or the tree withered in the court, A fruit must have been set here. For it is said that, though the fruit of the tree comes seldom to ripeness, yet the life within may then lie sleeping through many long years, and none can foretell the time in which it will awake. Remember this, for if ever a fruit ripens, it should be planted, lest the line die out of the world. Here it has lain hidden on the mountain, even as the race of Elendil lay hidden in the wastes of the north. Fucking hit me over the head with it, Gandalf. Yet the line of Nimloth is older far than your line, King Elessar. Essentially, these trees are going to go on living long after you've been gone, my dude. Then Aragorn laid his hand gently to the sapling, and lo, it seemed to hold only lightly to the earth, and it was removed without hurt, and Aragorn bore it back to the citadel. Then the withered tree was uprooted, but with reverence, and they did not burn it, but laid it to rest in the silence of Rath Dinen. And Aragorn planted the new tree in the court by the fountain, and swiftly and gladly it began to grow, and when the month of June entered in, it was laden with blossom. Oh shit, what up? Thanks for coming. The sign has been given, said Aragorn, and the day is not far off. And he set watchmen upon the walls. All right, what are we saying here? What are we saying, chat? From Thruple to Polycule. The Fellowship Community Ministerial. I want to go to there. Gondor for sure had a big uptick in tourism when Aragorn reigned. Oh yeah, like they reopened Minas Tirith land big time. Everywhere the light touches your kingdom. Thank you for completing the quote for me. Said the motherfucker who lived to be like 250 years old. Whole ass botany lore lesson. Oh shit, what up? Yes, gang's all here. It was the day before midsummer when messengers came from Amandine to the city, and they said that there was a riding of fair folk out of the north, and they drew near now to the walls of the Pelennor. And the king said, "At last they have come. Let all the city be made ready." Upon the very eve of midsummer, when the sky was blue as sapphire and white stars opened in the east, but the west was still golden, and the air was cool and fragrant, the riders came down the north way to the gates of Minas Tirith. First rode Elrohir and Elladan with a banner of silver, and then came Glorfindel and Arestor and all the household of Rivendell, and after them came the Lady Galadriel and Celeborn, Lord of Lothlorien, riding upon white steeds, and with them many fair folk of their land, grey-cloaked with white gems in their hair. And last came Master Elrond, mighty among elves and men, bearing the scepter of Anúminas, and beside him upon a grey palfrey rode Arwen, his daughter, even-star of her people. And Frodo, when he saw her come glimmering in the evening, with stars on her brow and a sweet fragrance about her, was moved with great wonder. And he said to Gandalf, "At last I understand why we have waited. This is the ending. Not day only shall be beloved, but night too shall be beautiful and blessed, and all its fear pass away." Okay, Frodo. Then the king welcomed his guests, and they alighted, and Elrond surrendered the scepter. Sorry, having a hard time. And laid the hands of his daughter in the hand of the king, and together they went up into the high city, and all the stars flowered in the sky. And Aragorn the king Elessar wedded Arwen Undomniel in the city of kings upon the day of midsummer, and the tale of their long waiting and labors was come to fulfillment. Ooh, that's the Steward and the King, babe. Very, very good. Our two boys get to get laid finally. Congratulations to our boys. I'm going to read many partings in a second, but I have to have like a 7th inning stretch. Like I'm dying here, fam. All right. Ugh, I need to like put on a sweater or something. I'm so cold now. The sun has gone down. Where's my Shveta? One sec. Yes, you're a babe. Noodle's a babe. Yes, she's a babe. Okay. Sweater acquired. Oh, that's better. That's better. All right. Let's do many partings, fam. Let's keep fucking cranking. Book 6, Chapter 6, Many Partings. It blew a partin in my hair. When the days of rejoicing were over at last, the companions thought of returning to their own homes. And Frodo went to the king, and as he was sitting with the Queen Arwen by the fountain, and she sang a song of Valinor, while the tree grew and blossomed. Parting. Parting. I leave shot and you all lean forward to see what books are on the shelf. I'm very happy to give you a tour of what the fuck I got going on in here, babe. It is 6 years of literature study and then a bunch of nonsense. All right. They welcomed Frodo and rose to greet him, and Aragorn said, I know what you have come to say, Frodo. You wish to return to your own home. Well, dearest friend, the tree grows best in the land of its sires, but for you, all the lands of the west, But for you, in all the lands of the West, there will ever be a welcome. And though your people have had little fame in the legends of the great, they will now have more renown than many wide realms that are no more. Yeah, dude. Yes. It is true that I wish to go back to the Shire, said Frodo, but first I must go to Rivendell, for if there could be anything wanting in a time so blessed, I missed Bilbo, and I was grieved when among all the household of Elrond I saw that he was not come. Oh, he just wanted to see his buddy. He just wanted to see his unk. Oh, man. Bilbo, you're such a fucking disappointment, dude. God damn, what a letdown. Do you wonder at that, Ringbearer? Said Arwen. For you know the power of that thing which is now destroyed, and all that was done by that power is now passing away. But your kinsman possessed this thing longer than you. He is ancient in years now, according to his kind, and he awaits you, for he will not again make any long journey, save one. Then I beg leave to depart soon, said Frodo. In 7 days we will go, said Aragorn, for we shall ride with you far on the road, even as far as the country of Rohan. In 3 days now Éomer will return hither to bear Theoden back to rest in the Mark, and we shall ride with him to honor the fallen. But now, before you go, I will confirm the words that Faramir spoke to you, and you are made free forever of the realm of Gondor, and all your companions likewise. And if there were any gifts that I could give you to match with your deeds, you should have them. But whatever you desire you shall take with you, and you shall ride in honor and arrayed as princes of the land. But the Queen Arwen said, A gift I will give you, for I am the daughter of Elrond. I shall not go with him now when he departs to the havens, for mine is the choice of Luthien, and as she so have I chosen, both the sweet and the bitter. But in my stead you shall go, Ringbearer, when the time comes, and if you then desire it. If your hurts grieve you still, and the memory of your burden is heavy, then you may pass into the west until all your wounds and weariness are healed. But wear this now in memory of Elfstone and Evenstar, with whom your life has been woven. With whom your wife has been woven. And she took a white gem like a star that lay upon her breast, hanging upon a silver chain, and she set the chain about Frodo's neck. Do not give this boy anything to wear around his neck, dude. Don't do that. Oof, trauma. When the memory of the fear and the darkness troubles you, she said, this will bring you aid. I fucking hope so, because goddamn. All right, chat, real quick. The end of the chapter hits so different when you already know Aragorn's and Arwen's history from Appendix A. Yes, which we will be reading. Bilbo must age quickly now that the ring's life-stretching effects are ended. Yeah. Yep. He's mad old now. Older than the old Took. Save one. And we all know which one. Unk is so washed, dude. He's cooked. Very hobbity cardigan. Thank you. Appreciate ya. You know, I got a certain aesthetic going in my life. Seriously, I would never wear necklaces again. And in the movie, his neck is all fucking tore up and scarred. Like, ouch. Actually, ow. I don't want to wear that. Ouch. In 3 days, as the king had said, Éomer of Rohan came riding to the city, and with him came an Eored of the fairest knights of the Mark. He brought all the hotties with him. He was welcomed, and when they sat all at a table in Marathon, the great hall of feasts, he beheld the beauty of the ladies that he saw, and was filled with great wonder. And before he went to his rest, he sent for Gimli the dwarf, and he said to him, Gimli, glowing son, have you your axe ready? Nay, lord, said Gimli, but I can speedily fetch it, if there be need. You shall judge, said Eomer, for there are certain rash words concerning the Lady of the Golden Wood that lie still between us, and now I have seen her with my eyes. Well, lord, said Gimli, and what say you now? Alas, said Eomer, I will not say that she is the fairest lady that lives. Then I must go for my axe, said Gimli. Stand battle. Oh, that's so good. Yo, dude, you got your axe ready? Because we got a little score to settle. I don't have my axe right now, but like, what's up? Did you see the Lady of the Golden Wood? Yeah, she's great, but she's not the fairest in all the land. Well, then I gotta go get my axe. So fucking good. So silly. Anyone who says this book is not like fucking hilarious doesn't know how to read. I'm so sorry. That's ridiculous. That escalated quickly. Yeah, I'll go get my axe. But first I will plead this excuse, said Eomer. Had I seen her in other company, I would have said all that you could wish. But now I will put Queen Arwen Evenstar first, and I am ready to do battle on my own part with any who deny me. Shall I call for my sword? Then Gimli bowed low. Nay, you are excused for my part, lord, he said. You have chosen the evening, but my love is given to the morning, and my heart forebodes that soon it will pass away forever. I love when two dudes can agree that all of the women are beautiful, actually. Great job, everybody. At last the day of departure came, and a great and fair company made ready to ride north from the city. Then the kings of Gondor and Rohan went to the Hallows, and they came to the tombs in Rathdinnen, and they bore away King Theoden upon a golden bier, and passed through the city in silence. Then they laid the bier upon a great wain, with riders of Rohan all about it, and his banner borne before. And Merry, being Theoden's esquire, rode upon the wain, and kept the arms of the king. They've turned the wains against us. For the other companions, steeds were furnished according to their stature, and Frodo and Samwise rode at Aragorn's side, and Gandalf rode upon Shadowfax, and Pippin rode with the knights of Gondor, and Legolas and Gimli, as ever, rode together upon Arad, because they're married. In that riding went also Queen Arwen, and Celeborn and Galadriel with their folk, and Elrond and his sons, and the princes of Dol Amroth and of Ithilien, and many captains and knights. Never had any king of the Mark such company upon the road as went with Theoden, Thengel's son, to the land of his home. Without haste and at peace they passed into Anorion, and they came to the grey wood under Amondine, and there they had heard a sound as of drums beating in the hills, though no living thing could be seen. Then Aragorn let the trumpets be blown, and heralds cried. Really quick, chat. Grandma versus granddaughter? Yeah. Weird one. And then I can hear faint homely kitchen noises and it's wholesome. Yeah, I can too. And it smells really good. Chris is making curry. It's going to be fucking delicious. I can't wait. Behold, the king of Lesar is come. The forest of Druadan he gives to Gon-Burigan and to his folk, to be their own forever, and hereafter let no man enter it without their leave. Then the drums rolled loudly, and were silent. I love that Gon-Burigan is not forgotten here. So nice. At length, after 15 days of journey, the wain of King Theoden passed through the green fields of Rohan, and came to Edoras, and there they all rested. The golden hall was arrayed with fair hangings, and it was filled with light, and there was held the highest feast that it had known since the days of its building. For after 3 days the men of the Mark prepared the funeral of Theoden, and he was laid in a house of stone with his arms, and many other fair things that he had possessed, and over him was raised a great mound, covered with green turves of grass and of white evermind. And now there were 8 mounds on the east side of the barrow field. Then the riders of the king's house upon white horses rode round about the barrow, and sang together a song of Theoden, Thengel's son, that Gleowine his minstrel made, and he made no other song after. The slow voices of the riders stirred the hearts even of those who did not know the speech of that people, but the words of the song brought a light to the eyes of the folk of the mark, that they heard again afar the thunder of the hooves of the north, and the voice of Errol crying above the battlefield of the field of Celebrant, crying above the battle upon the field of Celebrant, and the tale of the kings rolled on, and the horn of Helm was heard in the mountains. I don't know why I'm making things up. And the horn of Helm was loud in the mountains until the darkness came, and King Theoden arose and rode through the shadow to the fire, and died in splendor, even as the sun, returning beyond hope, gleamed upon Mindalluin in the morning. Out of doubt, out of dark, to the day's rising he rode, singing in the sun, sword unsheathing. Hope he rekindled, and in hope ended, over death, over dread, over doom lifted, out of loss, out of life, unto long glory. But Merry stood at the front of the green mound, and he wept, and when the song was ended, he arose and cried, Theoden King, farewell, as a father you were to me, for a little while. Farewell. For a little while, dude. Fucking for a little while. Oh my god. Chat, let's all show up for curry on party business. You are more than welcome. You are more than welcome. Come on over. What happened to my hair? Cut it off. Got tired of it. I still got my lettuce back here, though. I still got my human hair fucking unit. Let me get on a plane real quick. Birmingham or Bradford. Babe, just as long as you get to Edinburgh Airport, I'll come pick you up. All right, I got my clown car. So as long as y'all know how to get in a clown car, I got you. When the burial was over and the weeping of women was stilled, and Theoden was left at last alone in his barrow, then folk gathered to the Golden Hall for the great feast, and put away sorrow, for Theoden had lived to full years, and ended in honor no less than the greatest of his sires. And when the time came that in the custom of the mark they should drink to the memory of the kings, Eowyn, Lady of Rohan, came forth, golden as the sun and white as snow, and she bore a filled cup to Eomer. Then a minstrel and lore master stood up and named all the names of the lords of the mark in their order. Errol the Young, and Brago the builder of the hall, and Aldor, brother of Baldur of the Baldur the Hapless. Sorry. Baldur the Hapless. Oh no, that poor man. And Freya, and Freywine, and Goldwine, and Deor, and Graham, and Helm, who lay hid in Helm's Deep when the mark was overrun. And so ended the 9 mounds of the west side, for in that time the line was broken. And after came the mounds of the east side, Freyalaf, Helm's sister's son, and Leofa, and Walda, and Folka, and Folkwine, and Fengel, and Theoden the latest. And when Theoden was named, Eomer drained the cup. Then Eowyn bade those that served to fill the cups, and all there assembled rose and drank to the new king, crying, Hail, Eomer, king of the mark. Business in front, party business in the back is the funniest shit I've ever heard. Thank you. I'm stealing that. Yoink! That's mine now. Baldur the Hapless, dude. You would hate to have that moniker. I wonder what the fuck he did to earn it. Oh, Baldur the dumbass. Baldur the ding dong. Oh, poor guy. If anyone who knows what my husband's legal last name is, you'll kind of get the layers of this for me. At the last, when the feast drew to an end, Eomer arose and said, Now this is the funeral feast of Theoden the king, but I will speak ere we go of tidings of joy, for he would not grudge that I should do so, since he was ever a father to Eowyn my sister. Hear then all my guests, fair folk of many realms, such as have never before been gathered in this hall. Faramir, steward of Gondor and prince of Ithilien, asks that Eowyn, lady of Rohan, should be his wife, and she grants it in full willing. Therefore they shall be troth-plighted. Before you all. Troth-plighted, dog. Okay. Ooh, I'm gonna go do some etymology reading after this. And Faramir and Eowyn stood forth and sat hand in hand, and all there drank to them and were glad. Thus, said Eomer, is the friendship of the Mark and of Gondor bound with a new bond, and the more do I rejoice. No niggard are you, Eomer, said Aragorn, to give thus to Gondor the fairest thing in your realm. Then Eowyn looked into the eyes of Aragorn, and she said, Wish me joy, my liege lord and healer. And he answered, I have wished thee joy ever since first I saw thee. It heals my heart to see thee now in bliss. Yeah, I really resent Tolkien for making me say not only the F word, but almost the N word while reading this book. Come on, dude. When the feast was over, those who were to go took leave of King Eomer. Aragorn and his knights and the people of Lorien and of Rivendell made ready to ride, but Faramir and Imrahil remained at Edoras, and Arwen Evenstar remained also, and she said farewell to her brethren. None saw her last meeting with Elrond her father, for they went up into the halls, into the hills, and there spoke long together, and bitter was their parting that should endure beyond the ends of the world. At the last, before the guests set out, Eomer and Eowyn came to Merry, and they said, Farewell now, Meriadoc of the Shire and Holdwine of the Mark. Ride to good fortune, and ride back soon to our welcome. And Eomer said, Kings of old would have laden you with gifts that a wain could not bear for your deeds upon the fields of Munburg, and yet you will take not, you say, but the arms that were given to you. This I suffer, for indeed I have no gift that is worthy, but my sister begs you to receive this small thing as a memorial of Durnhelm and of the horns of the mark at the coming of the morning. Then Eowyn gave to Merry an ancient horn, small but cunningly wrought, all of fair silver with a baldric of green, and Wrights had engraven upon it swift horsemen riding in a line that wound about it from the tip to the mouth, and there were set runes of great virtue. This is an heirloom of our house, said Eowyn. It was made by the dwarves, and came from the hoard of Scatha the Worm. Errol the Young brought it from the north. He that blows it at need shall set fear in the hearts of his enemies, and joy in the hearts of his friends, and they shall hear him, and come to him. Then Merry took the horn, for it could not be refused, and he kissed Eowyn's hand, and they embraced him, and so they parted for that time. Chat, what up? Yeah, better than Troth Blighted, I guess. Yeah, Troth as in betrothed, for sure. But I like Troth Plighted as if it's like a plight. I don't know. I need to look into it. I think that's a very funny little portmanteau. Gonna splice that close call out of context, get me canceled. Please! Oh my god, I would love nothing more than to fade into obscurity. I fucking have tried to get canceled ever since I started this YouTube channel. So like, help me out. Give me a leg up. Give her a moment to read for pity's sake. Appreciate ya. We're gonna be done soon, and this curry smells so fucking good. All right. So they parted for that time. Now the guests were ready, and they drank the stirrup cup, and with great praise and friendship they departed, and came at length to Helm's Deep, and there they rested 2 days. Then Legolas repaid his promise to Gimli and went with him to the glittering caves, and when they returned he was silent, and would say only that Gimli alone could find fit words to speak of them. And never before has a dwarf claimed a victory over an elf in a contest of words, said he. They love each other so much, it's gross. Now therefore let us go to Fangorn and set the score right. From Deeping Combe they rode to Isengard, and saw how the Ents had busied themselves. All the stone circle had been thrown down and removed, and the land within was made into a garden filled with orchards and trees, and a stream ran through it. So the Ents are gardening now, and now it's okay? Okay. But in the midst of all there was a lake of clear water, and out of it the tower of Orthanc rose still, tall and impregnable, and its black rock was mirrored in the pool. For a while the travelers sat where once the old gates of Isengard had stood, and there were now 2 tall trees like sentinels at the beginning of a green-bordered path that ran towards Orthanc, and they looked in wonder at the work that had been done, but no living thing could they see far or near. But presently they heard a voice calling, hum, hum, and there came Treebeard striding down the path to greet them with Quickbeam at his side. Welcome to the Treegarth of Orthanc, he said. I knew that you were coming, but I was at work up the valley. There is much still to be done. But you have not been idle either away in the south and the east, I hear, and all that I hear is good, very good. Then Treebeard praised all their deeds, of which he seemed to have full knowledge, and at last he stopped and looked long at Gandalf. Well, come now, he said. You have proved mightiest, and all your labors have gone well. Where now would you be going, and why do you come here? To see how your work goes, my friend, said Gandalf, and to thank you for your aid in all that has been achieved. Well, that is fair enough, said Treebeard, for to be sure Ents have played their part, and not only in dealing with that accursed tree slayer that dwelt here, for there was a great inrush of those Burarum, those evil-eyed, black-handed, bow-legged, flint-hearted, claw-fingered, foul-bellied, bloodthirsty Moray-mates Singahonda. Well, since you are hasty folk, and their full name is as long as years of torment, those vermin of orcs, and they came over the river and from the north and all round the woods of Lorelindornan. Lorelindornan, which they could not get into, thanks to the great ones who are here. He bowed to the lord and lady of Lorien. And these same foul creatures were more than surprised to meet us out on the wold, for they had not heard of us before, though that might be said also of better folk. And not many will remember us, for not many escaped us alive, and the river had most of those. But it was well for you, for if they had not met us, then the king of the grassland would not have ridden far, and if he had, there would have been no home to return to. We know it well, said Aragorn, and never shall it be forgotten in Minas Tirith or in Edoras. Never is too long a word even for me, said Treebeard. Not while your kingdoms last, you mean, but they will have to last long indeed to seem long to Ents. The new age begins, said Gandalf, and in this age it may well prove that the kingdoms of men shall outlast you. Shall outlast you, Fangorn, my friend. But now come, tell me, what of the task that I set you? How is Saruman? Is he not weary of Orthanc yet? For I do not suppose that he will think you have improved the view from his windows. Get him. Treebeard gave Gandalf a long look, almost a cunning look, Merry thought. Ah, he said, I thought you would come to that. Weary of Orthanc, very weary at last, but not so weary of his tower as he was weary of my voice. I gave him some long tales, or at least what he thought might be long in your speech. Then why did he stay to listen? Did you go into Orthanc? Asked Gandalf. No, not into Orthanc, said Treebeard, but he came to his window and listened because he could not get news in any other way, and though he hated the news, he was greedy to have it, and I saw that he heard it all. But I added a great many things to the news that it was good for him to think of. He grew very weary. He always was hasty. That was his ruin. I observe, my good Fangorn, said Gandalf, that with great care you say dwelt, was, and grew. What about is? Is he dead? No, not dead so far as I know, said Treebeard, but he is gone. Yes, he is gone 7 days. I let him go. There was little left of him when he crawled out, and as for that worm creature of his, he was like a pale shadow. Now, do not tell me, Gandalf, that I promised to keep him safe, for I know it. But things have changed since then, and I kept him until he was safe from doing any more harm. You should know that above all I hate the caging of live things, and I will not keep even such creatures as these caged beyond great need. A snake without fangs may crawl where he will. You may be right, said Gandalf, but this snake had still one tooth left, I think. He had the poison of his voice, and I guess that he persuaded you, even you, Treebeard, knowing the soft spot in your heart. Well, he is gone, and there is no more to be said, but the Tower of Orthanc now goes back to the king, to whom it belongs, though maybe he will not need it. That will be seen later, said Aragorn, but I will give to Ents all this valley to do with as they will, so long as they keep a watch upon Orthanc and see that none enter it without my leave. It is locked, said Treebeard. I made Saruman lock it and give me the keys. Quickbeam has them. Quickbeam bowed like a tree bending in the wind and handed to Aragorn 2 great black keys of intricate shape, joined by a ring of steel. Now I thank you once more, said Aragorn, and I bid you farewell. May your forest grow again in peace. When this valley is filled, there is room and to spare west of the mountains, where once you walked long ago. Treebeard's face became sad. Forests may grow, he said. Woods may spread, but not ents. There are no entings. Yet maybe there is now more hope in your search, said Aragorn. Lands will lie open to you eastward that have long been closed. But Treebeard shook his head and said, It is far to go, and there are too many men there in these days. But I am forgetting my manners. Will you stay here and rest a while? And maybe there are some that would be pleased to pass through Fangorn Forest and so shorten their road home? He looked at Celeborn and Galadriel. But all save Legolas said that they must now take their leave and depart either south or west. Come, Gimli, said Legolas. Now by Fangorn's leave I will visit the deep places of the Entwood and see such trees as are nowhere else to be found in Middle-earth. You shall come with me and keep your word, and thus we will journey on together to our own lands in Mirkwood and beyond. To this Gimli agreed, though with no great delight, it seemed. Here then at last comes the ending of the Fellowship of the Ring, said Aragorn. Yet I hope that ere long you will return to my land with the help that you promised. We will come if our own lords allow it, said Gimli. Well, farewell, my hobbits. You should come safe to your own homes now, and I shall not be kept awake for fear of your peril. We will send word when we may, and some of us may yet meet at times, but I fear that we shall not all be gathered together ever again. Then Treebeard said farewell to each of them in turn, and he bowed 3 times slowly and with great reverence to Celeborn and Galadriel. It is long, long since we met by stock or by stone, a Vanimar Vanimalion Nostari, he said. It is sad that we should meet only thus at the ending, for the world is changing. I feel it in the water, I feel it in the earth, and I smell it in the air. I do not think we shall meet again. And Celeborn said, I do not know, eldest. But Galadriel said, Not in Middle-earth, nor until the lands that lie under the wave are lifted up again. Then in the willow meads of Tasaranan we may meet in the spring. Farewell. He said the thing, dude. He said the thing. Oh. I'm gonna keep going, but put a pin in that. Last of all, Merry and Pippin said goodbye to the old Ent, and he grew gayer as he looked at them. Well, my merry folk, he said, will you drink another draught with me before you go? Indeed we will, they said, and he took them aside into the shade of one of the trees, and there they saw that a great stone jar had been set, and Treebeard filled 3 bowls, and they drank, and they got fucking hammered, and they saw his strange eyes looking at them over the rim of his bowl. Take care, he said, for you have already grown since I saw you last. And they laughed and drained their bowls. Well, goodbye, he said, and don't forget that if you hear any news of the Entwives in your land, you will send word to me. Then he waved his great hands to all the company and went off into the trees. The travelers now rode with more speed, and they made their way towards the Gap of Rohan, and Aragorn took leave of them at last, close to that very place where Pippin had looked into the stone of Orthanc. Trauma! The hobbits were grieved at this parting, for Aragorn had never failed them, and he had been their guide through many perils. I wish we could have a stone that we could see all our friends in, said Pippin, and that we could speak to them from far away. Only one now remains that you could use, answered Aragorn, for you would not wish to see what the stone in Minas Tirith would show you. But the Palantir of Orthanc the king will keep to see what is passing in his realm, and what his servants are doing. For do not forget, Peregrine Took, that you are a knight of Gondor, and I do not release you from your service. You are going now on leave, but I may recall you. And remember, dear friends of the Shire, that my realm lies also in the north, and I shall come there one day. Threatening. Then Aragorn took leave of Celeborn and Galadriel, and the lady said to him, Elfstone, through darkness you have come to your hope, and have now all your desire. Use well the days. Bars! Use well the days I love. But Celeborn said, Kinsman, farewell. May your doom be other than mine, and your treasure remain with you to the end. With that they parted, and it was then the time of sunset. And when after a while they turned and looked back, they saw the king of the west sitting upon his horse, with his knights about him, and the falling sun shone upon them, and made all their harness to gleam like red gold, and the white mantle of Aragorn was turned to a flame. Then Aragorn took the green stone and held it up, and there came a green fire from his hand. Fucking great. All right, let's read the chat real quick. If you're canceled, you automatically get a podcast with supplement sponsorship. Hit me with it, dude. I'm ready to enter my poisonous man era. Treebeard is looping. Yeah. The Entish word for orcs must be very, very long. I would like to hear it. I love that he just goes into so many epithets, like hyphen together. It's great. Treebeard talking Saruman's ears off is such a funny image. It really is. Like, so good that Treebeard's like, what's the worst way I can torture this man, this wizard? And it's just by talking at him. It's so good. Although he hated the news, he was greedy to have it. Tolkien predicted doom scrolling. Fuck. Oh, he really did. Ents are experts at burying the lead. So funny that Gandalf's like, hang on a second. So where the fuck is he though? And Treebeard's like, he been gone like for at least a week. Literally anytime Gandalf asks someone to keep an eye on a prisoner, they let them go. I mean, he said his time was the Third Age and now it's over. No one has to listen to him anymore. He's no longer Simon Says. Aragorn giving away many lands that he has very questionable dominion over. He like really is like like a shitty landlord kind of, where he's like, I'm the king, right? Everything the light touches is my kingdom. So you can have that, you can have that, you can have that, like doling it out. There's a lot of implications therein. Galadriel implying that Beleriand will rise again. Yeah, Pippin wishes for a phone, essentially. A stone that we could see all our friends in. Literally, when I'm like scrolling on Instagram first thing in the morning, I'm like, let me hit up that Palantir. Let me watch Friend TV. Really interested how Aragorn thinks the Kingdom of Arnor can be reestablished. Yeah, this kind of like delves into a line of discourse that I have sometimes found troublesome as someone who read Game of Thrones and like the whole of A Song of Ice and Fire until the book stopped, where like, I know that many people are interested in the political makeup of Middle-earth. She's not me. Like, and Tolkien didn't seem super interested in it either, but I don't know. Maybe this will change for me as I spend even more time with this fucking book. But yeah, it is pretty funny that he's going around being like, this is all mine, right? You're in my yard? Great. It's pretty silly. And yeah, later on, or in the prologue rather, the Kingdom of Arnor is described as the reunited kingdom, which I always thought was just like a funny play on like the United Kingdom. But like, yeah, it's a good point, Marks. You're making me think about stuff. How very dare you? Soon the dwindling company, following the Isen, turned west and rode through the gap into the wastelands beyond. And then they turned northwards and passed over the borders of Dunland. The Dunlendings fled and hid themselves, for they were afraid of elvish folk, though few indeed ever came to their country. But the travelers did not heed them, for they were still a great company and were well provided with all that they needed, and they went on their way at their leisure, setting up their tents when they would. On the 6th day since their parting from the king, they journeyed through a wood, climbing down from the hills at the feet of the misty mountains that now marched on their right hand. Real quick, I love the line about they went on their way at their leisure, setting up their tents when they would. Even that is just like a small indicator of they've been on a fucking time crunch since they set out. Everything has been like a desperate kind of, they've been in a desperate hurry. They've been in great peril all the time, and now they're just fucking chilling and vibing and having a nice little camping trip. I love this for them. As they came out again into the open country at sundown, they overtook an old man leaning on a staff, and he was clothed in rags of gray or dirty white, and at his heels went another beggar, slouching and whining. Well, Saruman, said Gandalf, where are you going? What's that to you? He answered. Will you still order my goings, and are you not content with my ruin? You know the answers, said Gandalf. No and no. But in any case, the time of my labors now draws to an end. The king has taken on the burden. If you'd waited at Orthanc, you would have seen him, and he would have shown you wisdom and mercy. Then all the more reason to have left sooner, said Saruman, for I desire neither of him. Indeed, if you wish for an answer to your first question, I am seeking a way out of his realm. Then once more you are going the wrong way, said Gandalf, and I see no hope in your journey. But will you scorn our help? For we offer it to you. To me, said Saruman. No, pray, do not smile at me. I prefer your frowns. And as for the lady here, I do not trust her. She always hated me, and schemed for your part. I do not doubt that she has brought you this way to have the pleasure of gloating over my poverty. Had I been warned of your pursuit, I would have denied you the pleasure. Saruman, said Galadriel, we have other errands and other cares that seem to us more urgent than hunting for you. Say rather that you are overtaken by good fortune, for now you have a last chance. If it be truly the last, I am glad, said Saruman, for I shall be spared the trouble of refusing it again. All my hopes are ruined, but I would not share yours if you have any. For a moment, his eyes kindled. Go, he said. I did not spend long study on these matters for naught. You have doomed yourselves, and you know it. And it will afford me some comfort as I wander to think that you pulled down your own house when you destroyed mine. And now, what ship will bear you back across so wide a sea? He mocked. It will be a gray ship and full of ghosts. He laughed, but his voice was cracked and hideous. Get up, you idiot, he shouted to the other beggar who had sat down on the ground, and he struck him with his staff. Turn about! If these fine folk are going our way, then we'll take another. Get on, or I'll give you no crust for your supper. The beggar turned and slouched past, whimpering. Poor old Grima, always beaten and cursed. How I hate him! I wish I could leave him. Then leave him, said Gandalf, but Wormtongue only shot a glance of his bleared eyes full of terror at Gandalf, and then shuffled quickly past behind Saruman. As the wretched pair passed by the company, they came to the hobbits, and Saruman stopped and stared at them, but they looked at him with pity. So you've come to gloat too, have you, my urchins? He said. You don't care what a beggar lacks, do you? For you have all you want, food and fine clothes and the best weed for your pipes. Oh yes, I know where it comes from. You would not give a pipeful to a beggar, would you? I would if I had any, said Frodo. Mr. Pity and Mercy. You can have what I've got left, said Merry, if you will wait a moment. He got down and searched in the bag at his saddle. Then he handed to Saruman a leather pouch. Take what there is, he said. You're welcome to it. It came from the flotsam of Isengard. Mine, yes, and dearly bought, cried Saruman, clutching at the pouch. This is only a repayment in token, for you took more, I'll be bound. Still, a beggar must be grateful if a thief returns him even a morsel of his own. Well, it will serve you right when you come home if you find things less good in the South Farthing than you would like. Long may your land be short of leaf. Thank you, said Merry. In that case, I will have my pouch back, which is not yours and has journeyed far with me. Wrap the weed in a rag of your own. One thief deserves another, said Saruman, and turned his back on Merry, and kicked Wormtongue, and went away towards the wood. Well, I like that, said Pippin. Thief indeed. One of our claim for waylaying, wounding, and orc-dragging us through Rohan. Ah, said Sam, and bought, he said. How, I wonder? And I don't like the sound of what he said about the South Farthing. It's time we got back. I'm sure it is, said Frodo, but we can't go any quicker if we are to see Bilbo. I'm going to Rivendell first, whatever happens. Yes, I think you had better do that, said Gandalf. But alas for Saruman, I fear nothing more can be made of him. He is withered altogether. All the same, I am not sure that Treebeard is right. I fancy he could do some mischief still in a small, mean way. Next day they went on into northern Dunland, where no men now dwelt, though it was a green and pleasant country. September came in with golden days and silver nights, and they rode at ease until they reached the Swanfleet River and found the old ford east of the falls, where it went down suddenly into the lowlands. Far to the west in a haze lay the meres and eyots through which it wound its way into Greyflood. There countless swans housed in a land of reeds. So they passed into Eregion, and at last a fair morning dawned, shimmering above gleaming mists, and looking from their camp on a low hill, the travelers saw away in the east the sun, catching 3 peaks that thrust up into the sky through floating clouds. Caradhras, Celebdil, and Fenweidal. That's what I take for headaches. They were near to the gates of Moria. Here now for 7 days they tarried, for the time was at hand for another parting which they were loath to make. Soon Celeborn and Galadriel and their folk would turn eastward, and so pass by the Redhorn Gate and down the Dimrail Stair to the Silver Lode into their own country. They had journeyed thus far by the west ways, for they had much to speak of with Elrond and with Gandalf, and here they lingered still in converse with their friends. Often long after the hobbits were wrapped in sleep, they would sit together under the stars, recalling the ages that were gone and all their joys and labors in the world, or holding counsel concerning the days to come. If any wanderer had chanced to pass, little would he have seen or heard, and it would have seemed to him only that he saw gray figures carved in stone, memorials of forgotten things now lost in unpeopled lands. For they did not move or speak with mouth, looking from mind to mind, and only their shining eyes stirred and kindled as their thoughts went to and fro. But at length all was said, and they parted again for a while, until it was time for the 3 rings to pass away. Quickly fading into the stones and the shadows, the gray-cloaked people of Lorien rode towards the mountains, and those who were going to Rivendell sat on the hill and watched, until there came out of the gathering mist a flash, and then they saw no more. Frodo knew that Galadriel had held aloft her ring in token of farewell. Sam turned away and sighed. I wish I was going back to Lorien. At last, one evening, they came over the high moors, suddenly as to travelers it always seemed to the brink of the deep valley of Rivendell, and saw far below the lamp shining in Elrond's house. And they went down and crossed the bridge and came to the doors, and all the house was filled with light and song for joy at Elrond's homecoming. First of all, before they had eaten or washed or even shed their cloaks, the hobbits went in search of Bilbo. They found him all alone in his little room. It was littered with papers and pens and pencils, but Bilbo was sitting in a chair before a small bright fire. He looked very old, but peaceful and sleepy. Me, describing me. He opened his eyes and looked up as they came in. Hello, hello, he said. So you've come back? And tomorrow's my birthday, too. How clever of you. Do you know I shall be 129? And in 1 year more, if I'm spared, I shall equal the old Took. I should like to beat him, but we shall see. After the celebration of Bilbo's birthday, the 4 hobbits stayed in Rivendell for some days, and they sat much with their old friend, who spent most of his time now in his room, except at meals. For these he was still very punctual as a rule, and he seldom failed to wake up in time for them. My fucking boy. Sitting round the fire, they told him in turn all that they could remember of their journeys and adventures. At first, he pretended to take some notes, but he often fell asleep, and when he woke, he would say, "How splendid! How wonderful! But where were we?" And then went on with the story from the point where he'd begun to nod. The only part that seemed really to rouse him and hold his attention was the account of the crowning and marriage of Aragorn. I was invited to the wedding, of course, he said, and I have waited for it long enough. But somehow, when it came to it, I found I had so much to do here, and packing is such a bother. Oh, man, I love Bilbo. When nearly a fortnight had passed, Frodo looked out of his window and saw that there had been a frost in the night, and the cobwebs were like white nets. Then, suddenly, he knew that he must go, and said goodbye to Bilbo. The weather was still calm and fair, after one of the most lovely summers that people could remember, but October had come, and it must break soon and begin to rain and blow again, and there still was a very long way to go. Yet, it was not really the thought of the weather that stirred him. He had a feeling it was time he went back to the Shire. Sam shared it. Only the night before, he'd said, "Well, Mr. Frodo, we've been far and seen a deal, and I don't think we've found a better place than this. There's something of everything here, if you understand me. The Shire and the Golden Wood and Gondor and kings' houses and inns and meadows and mountains all mixed. And yet, somehow, I feel we ought to be going soon. I'm worried about my gaffer, to tell the truth." "Yes, something of everything, Sam, except the sea," Frodo had answered, and he repeated it now to himself. "Except the sea." Fucking, it's already coming. That day, Frodo spoke to Elrond, and it was agreed that they should leave the next morning. To their delight, Gandalf said, "I think I shall come too. At least as far as Bree. I want to see Butterbur and beat his fucking ass. In the evening, they went to say goodbye to Bilbo. Well, if you must go, you must, he said. I am sorry. I shall miss you. It is nice just to know that you are about the place, but I am getting very sleepy. Then he gave Frodo his mithril coat and sting, forgetting that he had already done so, and he gave him also 3 books of lore that he had made at various times, written in his spidery hand, and labeled on their red backs, Translations from the Elvish by B.B. To Sam he gave a little bag of gold. Almost the last drop of the Smaug vintage, he said. May come in useful if you think of getting married, Sam. Sam blushed. I have nothing much to give to you young fellows, he said to Merry and Pippin, except good advice. And when he'd given them a fair sample of this, he added a last item in Shire fashion. Don't let your heads get too big for your hats, but if you don't finish growing up soon, you're going to find hats and clothes expensive. But if you want to beat the old Took, said Pippin, I don't see why we shouldn't try and beat the bull roarer. Got his ass. Bilbo laughed, and he produced out of a pocket 2 beautiful pipes with pearl mouthpieces and bound with fine wrought silver. Think of me when you smoke them, he said. Merry is going to be thinking of Theoden, dude. You're way late to that party. The elves made them for me, but I don't smoke now. And then suddenly he nodded and went to sleep for a little, and when he woke up again, he said, Now, where were we? Yes, of course, giving presents. Which reminds me, what's become of my ring, Frodo, that you took away? I've lost it, Bilbo dear, said Frodo. I got rid of it, you know. What a pity, said Bilbo. I should have liked to see it again. But no, how silly of me. That's what you went for, wasn't it? To get rid of it? But it is all so confusing, for such a lot of other things seem to have got mixed up with it. Aragorn's affairs and the White Council and Gondor and the Horsemen and Southrons and Oliphants. Did you really see one, Sam? And caves and towers and golden trees and goodness knows what besides. I evidently came back by much too straight a road from my trip, I think. Gandalf might have shown me round a bit, but then the auction would have been over before I got back, and I should have had even more trouble than I did. Anyway, it's too late now, and I really think it's much more comfortable to sit here and hear about it all. The fire is very cozy here, and the food's very good, and there are elves when you want them. What more could one want? I love elves when you want them. The road goes ever on and on, out from the door where it began. Now far ahead the road has gone. Let others follow it who can. Let them a journey new begin. But I at last with weary feet will turn towards the lighted inn, my evening rest, and sleep to meet. And as Bilbo murmured the last words, his head dropped on his chest, and he slept soundly. The evening deepened in the room, and the firelight burned brighter, and they looked at Bilbo as he slept, and saw that his face was smiling. For some time they sat in silence, and then Sam looked round at the room and the shadows flickering on the walls, and he said softly, I don't think, Mr. Frodo, that he's done much writing while we've been away. He won't ever write our story now. At that, Bilbo opened an eye, almost as if he had heard. Then he roused himself. You see, I am getting so sleepy, he said, and when I have time to write, I only really like writing poetry. I wonder, Frodo, my dear fellow, if you'd very much mind tidying things up a bit before you go? Collect all my notes and papers and my diary too, and take them with you if you will. You see, I haven't much time for the selection and the arrangement and all that. Get Sam to help, and when you've knocked things into shape, come back, and I'll run over it. I won't be too critical. Of course I'll do it, said Frodo, and of course I'll come back soon. It won't be dangerous anymore. There is a real king now, and he will soon put the roads in order. Thank you, my dear fellow, said Bilbo. That really is a very great relief to my mind. And with that, he fell asleep again. The next day, Gandalf and the hobbits took leave of Bilbo in his room, for it was cold out of doors, and they said farewell to Elrond and all his household. As Frodo stood upon the threshold, Elrond wished him a fair journey and blessed him, and he said, I think, Frodo, that maybe you will not need to come back unless you come very soon, for about this time of the year, when the leaves are gold before they fall, look for Bilbo in the woods of the Shire. I shall be with him. These words no one else heard, and Frodo kept them to himself. And that's the end of many partings, y'all. We did it. I have been talking for way too long to go back and look at some passages. Maybe if I think of anything significant, I'll hit them when I'm back from my business trip. But I wonder, Frodo, my dear fellow, if you'd very much mind tidying things up a bit before you go. Collect all my notes and papers and my diary too, and take them with you if you will. You see, I haven't had much time for the selection and the arrangement and all that. Get Sam to help, and when you've knocked things into shape, come back and I'll run over it. I won't be too critical. I don't know, man. It feels like Tolkien talking to his son right there. Would you very much mind tidying things up a bit before you go? Collect all my notes and papers and take them with you if you will. I haven't had much time for the selection and the arrangement and all that. My heart. I can't take it. All right. Let me read through the chat and then we'll go. Marxaldehyde. All right, drawing skulls. Do you think they took the souvenir pint glasses home? For sure they did. They had to collect them all. Saruman still thinks he's important even though he's fallen so far, but he does still have the power of his bars. Always has the power of his bars, unfortunately. Saruman and his real Spider-Man 3 emo Toby era. That one scene with the dancing, dude. I think about it all the time. Grima's in his Gollum era. I did kind of do Gollum's voice for Grima. Sorry, fam. I only have 3 voices. Mine, Treebeard's, and Gollum's. Yeah, very correct, Pull. Okay, boomer, said the hobbits. I love that. This is a stretch, but the 3 mountains in the sun could be a little nod back to Bilbo's trolls and the eternal return, the hero's journey heading home with changed eyes. Very much so. And also kind of the 3 white towers by the sea, because Frodo starts talking about the sea. Oh, everything's there except the sea. I want to go over the sea. Like, come on. They were away from Rivendell for less than a year, but the ring's destruction really made Bilbo catch up to his true age. Yeah, big time. It's sad that Bilbo couldn't make it to his friend's wedding. I mean, packing is so difficult. He didn't want to. If Gollum hadn't fallen into Mount Doom, he would have gone out like an Indiana Jones villain. Butterbur, yet another guy Gandalf couldn't delegate shit to. Honestly, Barlaman's kind of an icon for that. Maybe it's why Gandalf loves the hobbits so much. They're present and have little concern in the world. Yeah, it is very bittersweet. It's very lovely. I do like that we get all this. And then next time, I'm away next week, as I've said, but next time I'm here, oh baby, I think we're going to do 2 again. I think we're going to do Homeward Bound and the Scouring. I really want to, I'm going away for 2 weeks in April, and I'm trying to finish the main narrative before I go away for 2 weeks because I'm going to lose all my momentum. So we're going to finish the book before my big trip. And then we'll do some appendices and then we'll read The Hobbit. We're going to keep cranking. We're just going to keep circling around. We're just going to read Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, The Silmarillion, and then back to Lord of the Rings. And we'll just keep doing this until I fucking die, probably, because I love doing this. And I did have fun with y'all today. I always have fun with y'all. So thank you for coming and hang out. Thank you for joking around. I love to see it. I've had such a long fucking week, and this has been so nice. So thank you for joining me. I will be back, not next week, but the week following, and I'll let you know what's going on. So love y'all. I hope your dinner's as delicious as mine's going to be. Have a good night.